So player housing has finally dropped into World of Warcraft with a huge bang. Wait, wrong house. Let's start over again. So with the Midnight expansion on the horizon, and even in this early iteration of the housing system, there are already hundreds of different decoration items that you can collect throughout the World of Warcraft. And in this video, I'm going to go over more than 6 different easy sources for decoration items that you definitely don't want to miss, and perhaps want to continue building towards before the actual expansion drops. With that, the very first source I want to tell you about is the various deco sources right in your local neighborhood, or rather your housing neighborhood. First of all, you want to make sure to do the introductory questline, which will take you to the various vendors, not only in the main sort of central hub of your neighborhood, where there will be a few vendors selling deco for gold, but also a few kind of semi-hidden vendors across your neighborhood zone as well, such as like a cobweb vendor. And especially if you follow the quest line, there's also like a smuggler's cove section of a few vendors that sell cross-faction deco, so you definitely do not want to miss that. And last but not least as well, you also want to make sure to check out the daily quests within the central sort of bazaar hub that'll award you with 1 deco piece a day. And this does involve you solving sort of a riddle, finding that specific hint within that entire zone to be able to get or complete that quest. But lucky for you, people have already compiled the entire list of solutions for this quest, which I will link in the description box below as well. Alright, and on to number 2, and this will actually be a lot of Legion stuff, which happens to work pretty well with the Legion Remix event going on. But the first thing I want to highlight from Legion is not really from Legion Remix, and that's the class order halls and the class order hall campaigns. So each class order hall will offer several really cool, in my opinion, looking decor, and the way you get them is by first of all completing the class order hall campaign for that specific class order hall. Another piece is unlocked by upgrading your class hall to the maximum level of research, and yet another one is to unlock a hidden artifact appearance for that class. And however you do it really depends on the artifact weapon and the class. And this will actually be pretty easily done through Legion Remix because your progression and achievements will carry over from Legion Remix, right? Once you convert that character to modern retail. And another achievement that you can do to unlock yet another piece is to recruit 20 troops to your class order hall, which is not that hard to do. Now, to do the class order hall, this is actually absent from Legion Remix, right? But in retail, as long as you're over leveled compared to the standard Legion content, you can just go around Legion to look for world quests that reward order hall resources. And there will usually be quite a few world quests up at all times for you to farm this up relatively quickly. For example, you can look out for the boss elites that usually grant, say, 1,000 order hall resources per kill. So that would usually be like the lowest hanging fruit in terms of getting order hall resources to build up everything for your order hall, right? Whether it be researching the upgrades, recruiting troops, sending them out on missions, although that's less important. But also, you'll need to spend these order hall resources as a currency to buy most of the deco from your class order halls, and also elsewhere in Legion. But now, briefly touching back on Legion Remix specifically, one thing that you may want to consider is to get the Legion Remix decorations that just came out as well, that you can buy with bronze within that game mode. So bronze is the main currency that you earn from just basically doing anything, even like killing monsters, doing raids and whatnot, to be able to purchase various cosmetics, and it's currently very easy to earn. So this is actually a really good window or a chance to earn this Legion Remix deco, even though they are going to convert over to modern retail once Legion Remix officially ends. They are going to be significantly expensive and require things like gold and order hall resources, or even like some of the mid-expansion or later expansion specific currency to be able to pick up some of these items. So I would say now is definitely a good time to go and farm bronze to be able to much more easily and quickly pick up these decoration items if they interest you. Moving on to number 3, and still kind of on Legion technically, but I do want to highlight especially Suramar and the Nightfallen reputation, and not only that, but the entire questline and campaign involving the Nightfallen, because there are just a lot of really cool rewards that you can earn just by completing the quest line. You'll also earn ancient mana, which you can use to exchange for some of the decoration items from some of the vendors within Suramar, and I'll link all their locations in the description box below. So again, not only doing the reputation track will unlock the reputation rewards through the Nightfallen faction, but doing the main campaign and the Insurrection campaign for the Nightfallen will unlock additional rewards as well. And then there are also additional vendors throughout Suramar City that you can buy decoration items from with the ancient mana. So there's just a lot of sources of cool deco from this kind of one faction and zone and mini zone alone. And not to mention, in my opinion, this is just a really cool and fun storyline. And if you do the campaign in Legion Remix, you also unlock the additional reward of a transmog set that is highly coveted as well. And now on to number 4 and my favorite expansion ever, Warlords of Draenor, in the old sort of pseudo player housing system, the Garrison. And of course there's an Alliance version and a Horde version, complete with each of their own set of decorations. So just by setting up a garrison, you'll kind of passively be accruing these garrison resources just right outside your main garrison building. You can come back from time to time or perhaps even park an alt there. There's also a garrison hearth cell you can just hearth over with, but over time you'll just slowly be able to accrue enough garrison resources to be able to buy out most of the garrison decorations. And it's also very easy to even set up a garrison, as it's one of the first quests upon entering Warlords of Draenor. And now one more pretty interesting thing about the garrison is that since you're able to customize it with different types of buildings, there are actually certain housing decorations that are attached to different buildings. And primarily the trading post probably has the most of these, but even the barracks has a couple of unique decorations. And I'm not too sure about the others, but these two are the main ones that I've found offer their own decorations as well. And moving on to source number 5, as if one needed more reason to do lore walking, and that's with this patch, by completing any lore walking campaign, the achievement associated with it also gives you its own housing decoration on top of the existing cosmetic rewards. And there's also a new lore walking campaign with the Blood Elves that you can check out this patch. And next on to number 6, and that is various vendors around the world of Warcraft. Now, the first thing that a lot of players will think of is reputation vendors. And indeed, for any reputation that you've built up in the past, many, if not most of them, will offer some kinds of deco. But I also want to point out that in addition to these reputation vendors, there are also other non-reputation bound vendors that you can grab decoration pieces from. For example, the PvP vendor in your main faction cities will offer a bunch of different PvP decorations, some of which can be unlocked through certain achievements. And there are also just other random vendors, and to be able to track them, I'll link a couple of lists in the description box below, and also recommendations for add-ons that you can check out for that too. Now, before I end off the video, I actually want to throw in a bonus, and that's to check out all of the profession trainers that you can across basically all expansions. And you can do this on multiple characters provided that they have different professions, right? So essentially, from what I've seen, every single crafting profession in each expansion is offering 2 extra, essentially, recipes for you to create housing decoration from. And aside from just having more decorations, you actually have a big opportunity here to make some gold with, right? And in order to craft these items, you actually also need a new currency called lumber, which kind of works like any other gathering profession, except anybody can just pick it up without having to learn or have it take up a profession slot. So just go to the respective vendor in your neighborhood to pick up your lumber axe, and you'll be able to start tracking lumber nodes across basically all expansions, with the exception of Warlords of Draenor, again, my favorite expansion. Anyway, with the exception of Warlords of Draenor, which will have lumber coming into it later. But for now, you can actually trade normal Outland or Burning Crusade, right? Lumber for the Warlords of Draenor lumber. And there are definitely farming routes that you can take. And the recommendation is to get on a druid if you're really going to be serious about farming not only this lumber, but a lot of the old world materials, many of which have become extremely valuable with this patch because they're used in crafting decoration. If you can combine gathering lumber with routes for gathering some of these old world materials like Black Lotus in Classic, but definitely make a huge killing, even without necessarily like crafting all the decorations yourself. But of course, with the lumber, you can definitely have that option. But again, a lot of the other crafting materials are going to be quite valuable as well. And that does it for this guide for some of the best ways to obtain decoration in this midnight pre-patch. If you found this video helpful, consider subscribing to my channel and liking the video, as it'll help me greatly. Of course, thank you so much for watching, happy hunting, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.